Hi everyone, welcome to today's episode on Learn What is Cyber with T. Today I will just be taking the introductory part. I won't be teaching today. Someone else will be teaching. So after the introduction part, you'll be hearing the person's voice and the person will be taking hands-on lab on Nmap. You know what Nmap is. So I'll look away from the camera and just give you a little bit of introduction into the topic just before the person jumps into the topic. So I have decided to look for the most basic explanation that I can get online about what Nmap is, what can you use Nmap for, just before the specialist does hands-on regarding this topic, so that we can all since you understand that the channel is for an absolute beginner, so we also don't want to bombard you with something that would not make sense to you. So you will be seeing my screen from here. You can all see my screen. So what is Nmap? It's just a short form for network mapper. It is a very powerful tool. It's used for network discovery. It's used for security auditing. It allows devices on the network to be identified. It also helps you to see the ports that are open, to discover open ports, and also to see the services that are running on those ports. So it's usually used by people in network, cybersecurity professionals like ourselves. And so what are the key features? It helps to discover the host, that's the device on the network. It helps to scan the ports to see which ports are open on devices. It helps to see the services that are running on the open ports and what their versions are. It depends on the command that you're using the Nmap with. It can also be used for OS detection and so on and so forth. And some of the basic command of Nmap we have is just, using ordinary Nmap, the target, like the IP where you're targeting. You can use it to do basic scan. You can ping scan, which identify which hosts are online using -SN and so on, as you can see from the screen. Basically, these are like the basic things, and these are the things also that this specialist coming after me will be explaining using Nmap command with hands-on and all the rest. So you would hear his voice immediately after mine. So stay tuned.
And today we'll be looking at Nmap using web application. And please, this video is actually for educational purposes only. Scanning an unauthorized network or a web application without the permission of the individual or organization, right, is actually illegal. So we'll be using a vulnerable website to actually carry out this procedure, and in the process of this video I will show you how to connect using telnet, and I'll also show you various things you can do using Wireshark for normal packet analysis. Then as we dive on, you will see various things I'll be explaining and what each command in Nmap does as we scan our target. Right. So first of all, we open Wireshark so that it's turned on and we can actually carry out those scans, right, and get better explanation. So we do sudo Wireshark, right? Sudo Wireshark, uh, and we input our password. So opening Wireshark is to actually get the network packet that is being transmitted at the moment from this our particular network. So join me as we scan testphp.von.web. So we turn on Wireshark so that it can capture packets, right? And then first of all, we want to know whether our host is up. So we'll run an Nmap scan, right? Nmap -sn testphp.von.web, So by scanning, we actually know that, okay, it says our host is up. So another scan we can actually run is the scene scan, right? So we can, that's kind of stealthy. It's a stealthy kind of scan. So you run nmap dash sc test php dot vonweb.com. So while it's actually scanning, right, Nmap is an active reconnaissance tool, right? Which means, what does an active reconnaissance tool do? An active reconnaissance tool is a tool that sends target probe to or probes to that targeted network or system, right? So as it scans the system, it's sending probes, right? Traffic, and if there is a security implementation of um if there is a security implementation like IDS, IPS, and all other security measures put in place, yes, it will also obviously block it, like firewall now. So in order to check for web application firewall within a particular system, you can use WAF, right? WA, then WAF, WOOF, but it is in zero, right? So 00F, that's WAF. So you use it to scan for web application firewall and know what particular firewall that particular application or service is using at the moment. It could be Cloudflare, it could be Safety Net firewall, or any other firewall that is actually put in place. So this is it, and as we can see, we have one open service, which is HTTP, and you can see it. So now, another thing we can actually do while testing or scanning a network is to know what particular server version that particular network or system or web application is running on. And to do that, you run nmap sv, then test php dot vonweb.com. Right. So this will actually show the kind of version or whatever version that particular application is using at the moment. Right. And as you can see, it's actually capturing a lot of TCP packets of synchronity, right? Which means that we're actually sending probes to the network, right? But if you notice, there are not really any much acknowledgement here. But before the end of this video, I'll explain as we dive on. So let's dive into the last scan we made, and okay, it's still in process. So we'll wait for a particular time and a while for it to actually scan the network thoroughly and know what is in that particular network. So let's dive in. While this scan is processing, we can actually run further scans, right? So another scan we can actually run is the Nmap aggressive scan. This is a scan that actually detects the version, it actually detects the OS version, the server version, or whatever software version they are using. It performs a lot of tasks, right? And yes, it's an amazing scan. That's why it's called the aggressive scan. Okay, we have actually finished scanning, and we can see we only have one port open, and it's Nginx, right? and the software version or service version is 1.19. Right. So let's run the next scan, which is the aggressive scan. Right. So you use nmap dot s dot a, capital letter A, test php dot vonweb.com. So we run this scan. This scan is going to take a lot of time. There is a reason why it's actually called the aggressive scan, because it is very, very aggressive, right? So it's going to detect, the OS is going to detect lots of scan, right? It's going to detect a lot of things. That's why it's called the aggressive scan. So let me create another terminal while we run other scans, and I explain to you what each of the scan does, right? So we have the nmap scan, that is this, right? This is to actually enumerate vulnerabilities within nmap system, and this scan here is to brute force what subdomain it's actually using at the moment. Then for this is actually to check for hidden directories within that particular web application. So let's start with the script, right? Let's see what vulnerability we can actually find in nmap. So 78 in test php. So I run this, and as nmap is running it, we can actually go check for the other one we ran. And okay, as you can see, right, that we have the service version, we have the trace route, right, as port 80 TCP. Okay, it actually use AWS cloud service. Also, you can see that the OS is actually Microsoft Windows XP 2012 and Linux 2.4. And this, you can see the OS guesses is actually a guess. So you can see no exact OS masses for the host, test condition non-ideal, then network distance 2 hops. Right, as you can see, OS and service detection performed. If any incorrect result, you can result to nmap.org. So let's go back to our scan and see what our scan definitely has. Right. So another scan we can actually perform is the directory brute force, right? Let's perform that. So I go to my history. So one way to actually perform this directory brute force is by running this command, right? So 66, and it runs a directory brute force, right? A brute force to see whether there are any subdomain, right, within nmap or within that application that we are trying to actually test, right? So okay, it said it has run the brute force, and there is no subdomain or any domain that accompanies this test PHP. To confirm that, you can use asset finder test php dot vonweb.com to check for available assets, right, or subdomain within that application. Right, okay, you can see it from here that there are no other subdomain right? There's only test PHP von.web, right? So now another scan we can actually carry out is the directory brute force, right? The directory to know what particular directory that a web application is actually running at the moment, right? So to know what directory a web application is running at the moment, we use this command, okay, 69. I will use this command to know the directory of the web application, whether it has an admin directory, login directory. Okay, that's not it. Oh, I think that's the other scan that we actually carried out. Okay, this is the scan to actually know the directory. Then this scan we actually carried out is to know for check for HTTP vulnerabilities within web application, right? So this scan is not yet complete. So like I said again, this scan is used to check for vulnerability within web application, right? And this one is used to check for um directories, right? Like admin, other directories within that particular web application. Another tool that we can use to check for directories is FOF. FOF. It's a fuzzer. It's used to actually check for web application directory. And if you go to this place, let's go here, you can see it usually come pre-installed, or you can install it, right? Oh, sorry, it's F off, right? F off. That's force faster useful. You can use it to force web application. You can use it to force directory within a web application. But we won't be diving into that today, right? We are going to be doing other things relating to Nmap today and not um any other thing. So now, okay, you can see that it has enumerated the directories. We have the login, we have the host domain XML. And another thing I told you that I will be teaching you today is actually how to connect to open services. So we discovered that some services were open, right? And let's see whether we can connect to those services. Test php dot von web dot com port 80. Right, so we discovered why we were actually scanning that some particular um services were open, right, and some were filtered. As we can see here, host is up, port 53 is filtered. Now when it comes to filtered packets or filtered ports, right? These are ports that are currently being blocked by network interference, firewall, IDS, IPS. So these are the factors that can lead to a service being filtered at a particular moment. It can be environment also, maybe instability of your particular network could cause the port to be filtered. So let's dive ahead and connect to Telnet. Okay, it's trying to connect. And in the process of connection, right, we'll see services that are running on Telnet and what Telnet is all about. So Telnet is a connecting tool, right? Is the unsecured version of the secure shell, right? SSH. SSH actually, when being connected to, you can transmit data in um secured or encrypted format, right? But while using Telnet, data that is being sent through Telnet is not encrypted at all, right? It is not encrypted at all. It is transmitted in plain text, just like the HTTP, right? So That's the difference between Telnet and SSH. SSH provides encryption, then Telnet provides plain text. It's just like HTTP and HTTPS, right? So that's one way to connect into Telnet when it connect to open port when a service is actually up and open after any type of scan you've actually run on that particular service. Right. So for this scan, we're trying to enumerate the vulnerabilities within HTTP known vulnerabilities, but we weren't able to get it. There might be some misconfiguration, right? There might be some misconfiguration, right, that has led to that, right? So, yes, like I said, they will be diving over to Wireshark to see whatever stuff we have captured so far. So I'll be stopping this and let's see whatever packets we have captured so far. So you can see DNS test von web, ARP. You can see there are some back packets here, right? Maybe it was experiencing some network lag in the process of connection, right? You can see it has been sending okay, you can see this for not found. You can decide to follow TCP, right? And see what is in this HTML text, right? Let's follow TCP. Okay, HTTP. Okay, okay, mode of call, list name. Okay, these are various scans we carried out, right, on our particular target. Right, okay, vulnerability scanner. Okay, guest book. This is just test PHP interface, right? It is their interface. That's the um HTML.text, right, that we saw over here. Then, yes, so these were packets captured while we were carrying out the scan. And you can see that once it sends an acknowledgement, it sends a FINAC sync and SYN FINAC, which means that FINAC is like, you didn't get, like I told you, FINAC is like, he didn't get the packet or get anything, right? Because it is actually filtered, right? TCP normally has a particular handshake, right? It's called the three-way handshake. It starts with a SYN, then it goes to a SYN ACK, then before the acknowledgement. So we come to the end of this video. See you on the next one.